Now tonight I'm joined by a very creative gentleman. Now he was like, Sbu, you're saying your name is Sbu Siso, which means a blessing, and you're saying you're following your name to bless other people through your blessings. Well, I've got an interesting one because I decided to start a company that follows my surname. Well, his name is Thomas Pays, and he's a CEO or co-founder as well of Ipay. We're going to find out a little bit about what his company does, although it sounds a little bit self-explanatory. I don't know. He'll let us in on what his company does. Thomas, welcome to the show. How are you, my brother?
Thanks for having me.
Lovely. Very interesting surname.
Indeed, yeah. Don't get to choose it, but...
Yeah. They say you don't get to choose your surname.
Precisely, but it seems in line with the job today.
And then you decided to follow it.
Precisely.
Lovely stuff. So Ipay, that's your company. What do you guys do?
Have you ever done any electronic fund transfer by logging onto your bank account?
Okay, come again. Electronic transfer.
Any EFT.
Okay.
Have you seen how cumbersome it is?
Yeah.
To log into your online banking profile, load the beneficiary.
Yeah.
So we realized that this was a market that had a bit of a niche where we could solve a cumbersome problem and solve it with a 3-click process. So ultimately what Ipay does is automate an electronic fund transfer between a consumer and a merchant. So what that means is you click on Ipay when you're basically about to check out on a website. You enter your username and password, select your banks that you want to pay with, and then enter the OTP and the payment is done. So we've automated the whole EFT process.
Wow.
Yes, it's pretty cool.
With any bank?
All 6 major banks.
In South Africa?
In South Africa for now, yeah.
Okay. And how did this idea come about? I mean, how did you guys start your company?
So initially we were focused on the e-commerce side. We realized that there was quite a gap for the South African market. And as part of the e-commerce platform, you need to be able to accept payment online. Cards has a lot of issue with regard to fraud. And we looked at an alternative that would be a lot more cost effective, but also available to more people. I mean, you've got just under 10 million South Africans that have online banking available to them. So it's a lot more than actually credit card nowadays. And then when we started developing that payment solution to integrate our e-commerce platform, a lot of our clients actually showed more interest into the payment platform than they did in the e-commerce. And like the name suggested it, I had to follow with what was the right path.
And how difficult was it? Is it an application, just an app?
So there's no app, so there's no download, there's no barrier to entry in the sense that there's no registration, everything is web-based. So if you have a mobile phone, a tablet, a desktop or a laptop, you can literally basically make a payment. So it doesn't stop there actually, yeah?
Yeah.
It's compatible for any website. If you send invoices using any software like Sage as an example, we integrate into that. We also integrate into SMS. So you can send an SMS to one of your clients so they can just click in order to make a payment to you. And then we also started with a QR code that seems to be of fashion nowadays.
So you can also use it for a secure payment on a website? Is it safe?
Exactly. Very safe. So in terms of compliance, globally you've got standard that makes an environment for payments secure and encrypted, which is called PCI DSS. And Ipay had to basically go through that third-party audit in order to be compliant with that, to be safe and secure.
Wow, very interesting. And all these entrepreneurs come from all over the world. They come from all over the African continent. And judging by your accent, I don't think you're from South Africa. Where are you from? And tell us a bit about your background.
So originally from France. Met my wife in the UK. And
we always follow women, right?
Precisely.
I've got 3 American friends who are based in South Africa. They were all following women. As a matter of fact, at the end of the show, Timothy Maurice Webster, who's coming up after, who's a brother and a friend of mine, he came to South Africa as well, following a woman, and he ended up being based here.
And I assume she was South African.
She was South African, definitely. It says a lot about our beautiful woman.
Precisely. So met her in the UK, moved to France after our first child, and then she says, I need to bring you to South Africa for a month, and then if you like it, then we can move. So she brought me to Sun City, loved it, went to Cape Town, loved it, and then we ended up moving to Joburg.
Did you love it?
I love the jungle. Yeah, I like the roughness and the edge that you have here, you know.
The land of the hyenas.
Yeah,
The land of entrepreneurs.
opportunities here are endless. So that's what I like about it.
You know, I hear you say, I'm saying it's a land of the hyenas, and you're saying opportunities. What is it about entrepreneurs that spot opportunities when other people don't? When other people see crime, when other people see a busy, fast life, you see opportunity.
I think it's all about the mindset. I mean, if you think about it and you constantly criticize, you're not going to be able to see the positive or the opportunity to improve. As an entrepreneur, your mind is set to always look at new opportunity. And you said it earlier on, is how can we provide something that's going to answer a need for people, that's going to be a solution to a problem they have. EFT is a problem. I don't want to go online and make a payment in 3 minutes. It's cumbersome. I want to receive a SMS and be able to do a payment via EFT under 10 seconds. So I think that's what we see as entrepreneur, the solution we can enable.
So you're trying to tell me Ipay can allow you an opportunity to transact in seconds?
Correct. With the fastest EFT worldwide. And we from Egoli.
And I hear you guys started 3 years ago?
Started 3 years ago. About a year ago, we had a big breakthrough with signing one of NASPA's subsidiary as one of our reseller, which is PayU, the largest payment service provider in EMEA. 6 months ago, we were also successful in signing a reseller agreement with Sage, who's busy basically integrating and reselling to over 177,000 local businesses they have as clients. And now we're just taking the market step by step, client by client, with the like of Takealot, Superbalist, anyone interested in optimizing the payment, basically.
And how do people get exposed to it, and how do they get to learn? Because you got to educate the consumer.
So what we realized was the best option for us is to work hand in hand with our merchant, in the sense that I'm not going to be able to reach out to all 10 million South Africans that have a bank account. It's not going to be cost effective. But if you go on Takealot tomorrow and you see Ipay and you look at more information and they explain how it works, and they educate about it on the social media page and the newsletter, then the next time you see it, you're more inclined to actually use it. We're very similar to the Uber model, which is the buyer to entry to download the app and register is a bit cumbersome. But once you start using it, it's very addictive. You can't stop using it, which is quite interesting from the Ipay perspective. Is what we're seeing is people that start using Ipay never end up using credit card after.
Wow. And what is your website? Somebody that's watching now that's willing to try it out, just like myself, I'm obviously interested in trying it out immediately after the show.
So if you go to our website, it's www.i-pay.co.za.
Yeah.
Precisely.
So just ipay.co.za.
i-pay.co.za, correct.
Okay.
And then you got the demo on the homepage, so you can actually see how it works. The challenge I have is that it's so simple that people don't get it. How can you automate something that has been so cumbersome for me for the past 10 years and make it 3-click? That's not possible until you use it, and that's why people become so addictive to it.
Now you've got a lot of young techpreneurs or young students that are studying technology or that are doing IT and so forth and so forth. So for somebody like that who wants to start up and get into something like that, how do they get started?
So, entrepreneur overall, I think the most important part is whatever you decide to go in, don't do it for money, do it for passion. There is tough time. We one of the fastest growing payment solution in Africa, but for 2 years we ate 2-minute noodle when we could afford 2-minute noodle. When we were willing to basically give up on everything. The passion we had for our business is what allowed us to go through that abyss. And as soon as you start seeing the light, then you know that you're on the right track. But do it for passion, then money will come. Geez,
interesting. I mean, I'm reading here and I'm seeing you guys are serving clients. You guys are behind big retailers like Groupon, iStore, Netflorist, and Spree.
IFA Corporation, incredible connection. We have such a disruptive product, and that works against us. that everyone wants to use it. If I tell you tomorrow you use Ipay on your website, you increase your revenue by 40%, you're not going to believe it.
Yeah,
but that's
I
how
can't believe you now,
disruptive-
yeah.
That's how disruptive it is. If I was to show you how it worked, you'll be blown away.
What inspired you guys to be disruptive?
I remember, I can't basically tell you which US entrepreneur said that. Might even be Elon Musk, where it says that when 99% of the people tell you no, it's either going to be a failure or it's going to be a multi-billion-dollar business. 99% of everyone we met for the first 2 years told us that this would never work. And we look at it today, 99% of the business ask us to basically sign up. So I think that tells you a lot about us as entrepreneurs and believing in our gut feelings that we can make it happen. Like you did with your energy drink. Probably a lot of person told you overcrowded space, very competitive, but you believe you could make it happen and make a difference with it. That's what we believed. We don't believe and we don't understand the word impossible. That's a problem with us entrepreneurs. We don't understand what that means.
Every Tuesday when I get to come to Sant in Johannesburg and sit down with these guys that are entrepreneurs, I get so excited and look forward to coming here because I get to be in a room with like-minded people like myself. We get called douchebags, we get called crazy, we get called all sorts of different names, we get discouraged. We even lose family members and friends and girlfriends and wives, damn it. But we don't stop. And that's what I love about my job. Thank you so much, Thomas.
Thanks for your time and having me.